Hello, welcome to this talk with Abigail Mensah Bonsu, who is here to explore the sacred dance of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. I'm so happy to have you today, Abigail.
Thank you so much for having me, my dear. Thank you.
Yeah. So I just want to read a little bit about you so people who don't know you can get to know you. Abigail Mensah Bonsu is the founder of Moon Goddess Publishing and Moon Goddess Academy. She is an elevated consciousness and feminine embodiment mentor, goddess activator, multidimensional healer, and #1 best-selling publisher and author. She is also the host of the Sovereign Divinity podcast. She works with highly influential, impactful, successful, heart-centered women who have forgotten who they are and their purpose through life's many experiences and are ready to remember and embody all that they are by bridging the gap between their human and spiritual selves so they can maximize their success, creating greater impact, more money, and an aligned, resonant, magical life. Welcome.
Thank you.
So this topic of the dance of the sacred masculine and sacred feminine is huge and beautiful, and I'm so glad you feel called to talk about it. Where do you want to start?
Where should I start? I know, right? I mean, it makes sense why it's coming in at this time so much, right? I feel like we've been through years where it's like divine feminine this and divine feminine that, and all of a sudden it's beginning to shift. It's like it's not just the divine feminine. Yes, the divine feminine is coming back online, but she's not alone. She's pulling her divine masculine counterpart with her. And the same thing is also going on within us. It has to happen within us first before it happens on the outside. So a lot more people are beginning to feel this. And there's a lot of confusion. It's like, wait, I thought it was the divine feminine coming up. What is going on? Wait, why would the, divine masculine or the masculine energy, because usually, like the correlation between man and masculine and divine masculine. So it's like, why is that coming online? But they're so different, right? Man and masculine is completely different from divine masculine. Divine masculine is the energy that balances the divine feminine that is also within us, regardless if you're a man or woman. We have both energies within us that need to be dancing. They need to be doing their own beautiful dance that help us to co-create in balance in our physical reality. So it's so important at this time because it's been so out of, what do you call it, out of balance. We were talking when we did our connection call where we've had ages where it was the divine feminine ruling, like we know what that was. And even in those times there were, setbacks, when it was divine, or let's say women in charge, right? Because it's still out of balance. Where's the divine, where's the masculine energy to do the dance with, right? And then it switched to the masculine, and the masculine is like, when you were in charge, you did not treat me right. So I'm gonna step it up, right? So it went all the way up where it just completely, like, they just made sure that feminine will be just like not heard off, like you don't, like it was just went way out of balance. And now it's like, okay, now I recognize one cannot do it better than the other. They both need to come into a dance for the world to be in a balance and a better place. Yeah.
What I keep asking this question of people when it comes up for me, but because I'm still sitting with this question, what to you is in particular the divine masculine, but I would love to hear also what for you is the divine feminine. How do you define it or feel it? Or
Yeah. So the divine masculine, and I'm going to say divine masculine, don't go into man. You might connect some of the attributes. You might see it. You're like, oh yeah, totally. That's what a man would do. But don't do that, because women also can do that. So for example, divine masculine is the passion, is the fire, is the drive, right? Like I'm going to tune into my own divine masculine self. Like he's the one that got me through a lot of the pain and the trauma and the experiences that I experienced growing up. Like he's the one that made sure, he's the protector. He is the one that makes sure that I'm moving forward, even when I'm like, oh, life sucks, right? He brings the fire, and the protection and the fire is the huge part that comes in. The passion, the drive, that's all divine, masculine in his glory, right? Like mine always looks like the phoenix, right? Just rising up with the wings out, ready to like embrace the divine feminine, right? And oh, interesting. Okay. So from there, let's go into the divine feminine. Like me connecting to my divine feminine, she is wild. She is powerful. There's like this inner power that is unshakable by anything in her environment. She knows herself. And because of that, the divine masculine is very comfortable holding that space for her to blossom, right? So she is strong. She is wise. She is loving, and I want to bring in like the teachings of the goddesses, because that same essence flows within her. Like the goddesses kind of take pieces of her so that we can master it within ourselves. But the divine feminine is putting all of them together in one package. Like that is the divine feminine, right? And that's who is within all of us if we are willing to embrace her. Like we need to go deeper. We need to go deeper into the well and tap in and really define who she is. Like my divine feminine, the way she dances is going to be completely different from yours, even though the energy is still similar. But the dance is so different because it's very unique to me and my purpose and why I'm here and my living, right? So again, the imagery going back. So my divine masculine has the wings spread out, right? With all the fieriness and creating sacred space. And then my divine, feminine. Did I say feminine at first or masculine?
You said masculine.
Oh, good. I was like, did I switch it? And then the divine feminine is standing in front of him, in that, like he's not completely embracing because he's given plenty of space for her, but she's rooted. She's strong. Her eyes are fierce and deep. There's wisdom. She knows her power. She's gorgeous. She's illuminated. She feels safe to be all that she is. And there's nothing that can stop her. That is a balanced masculine and balanced feminine. It is a journey. Trust me. Like it is a journey. It's a journey that is you, like it's very uniquely to you. Like if you tune into your divine masculine, divine feminine, who's leading right now? One of the exercises that I usually take my clients, I'll take them through meditation where we call in the divine masculine, the divine feminine, and then watch them dance. And in that dance, you can tell very easily who's been in charge, who's been dimmed, who's not, you're not paying attention to. And then we bring in the balance where they figure out their footing and they begin to dance very fluidly, right? It's a very simple visualization, but what occurs within us and in our environment, now that's where you get to see the beauty of that balance, right? So yeah, it's a little bit about them.
Yeah, Jamie Goldstein, who you are friends with, who she also, we just recorded her talk also about the divine feminine, divine masculine, sacred union.
Yes.
And it would have been awesome for all three of us to talk at the same
time. I know, right?
Yeah. What we were discussing was also what you're saying, which is that we were discussing the astrology of, Venus and Mars, if we take those to be the divine masculine and divine, or one reflection of divine masculine, divine feminine. And we were comparing our charts. So her Venus and Mars versus my Venus and Mars. And then each of our experiences when we have gone deep inside of ourselves and found our feminine, our divine feminine, divine masculine, and then done that, coming together in that dance, exactly what you're talking about. And it's just fascinating to see the contrast between us, because I have my Venus in Aries in my 8th house. So it's this similar to what you're describing, like this powerful,
yes,
huge, like intense feminine who's just, literally can birth galaxies out of nothing, and
yes, I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah. And then she has her Venus in Gemini, which is more like, she associates that with this feeling of like being like a fairy and like very sociable and friendly and happy. And so again, like you're saying, like with the goddess archetypes too, there's not just one version in ourselves of, of course we are all of them, I feel like, for sure. But I think we each came into this life with a certain flavor of her and him and they and them together.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's so beautiful. So yeah, this is perfect. But I would love to hear more about that. Yeah.
I wanted to, let me pull my chart real quick, because Jamie and I had a reading and she noticed something. Let me pull it up. Where are you? And she noticed something between my Mars and Venus. That was really cool, because she's like, oh, okay, now it makes sense why you do what you do with the divine masculine, divine feminine. And my Mars and Venus like to travel together. So they come in and meet at some point, and they travel for a while, and then they kind of go, and then they come back and then meet, travel for a while, and then go. And this happens a lot throughout my, the transit, I think that's what they call it. And I thought that was really cool. Like, it was a cool conversation, like cool confirmation in terms of what I was feeling within myself. So my Venus, let's see here, let me make sure this is mine. Yes, it is mine. Okay, cool. Because it shows you everyone else's,
Yeah.
Let's see here. There we go, birth. So my Venus is in Leo and my Mars is also in Leo. So they're both very fine.
Yeah. Well, they're specifically in Leo. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Oh, wow. Do you know the degrees?
Let's see here. So 23. So 23, and then Mars is 20.
Oh, wow. Okay, so your Mars is coming up to your Venus. So it's like oh, wow. And then they're gonna, yeah, okay. Got it.
And guess what? They're both in the 8th house.
Oh, wait, no, sorry. Your Venus would have just left your Mars, because Venus moves faster. So it's like they just had joined right before you were born. And now Venus is going off to do her thing, and then she'll come back.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
It was pretty mind-blowing. Like, just, and I think that's one of the things I love about astrology, when you combine it with all the other ancient teachings, like you start to actually see your bigger picture, your own mystery unfold. And Jamie is just incredible at what she does.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. So yeah, so in your own journey with the feminine and the masculine, it's like they're both in that shining Leo, self-actualization, creativity, love place, and so fun, like so playful, and you get to shine. Absolutely. You get to shine as both, which is what you're doing literally in your work.
And I had a question before this one time. I think it might have been for a podcast or a summit, but I was asked a question like, how has it been like for me to always be in the energy of the divine feminine? And I was like, actually, my divine masculine led for the longest time, probably till age 26. And then the divine feminine, I started to dive in deep, because that's when I was like, okay, there's something more that I need to tap into. But like I said, the divine masculine was my protector for a long time. Yeah. The divine masculine, that fire connected me to my spirit, something that was higher than me. And all of that is what I needed to survive. It's what I needed not to give up on this planet, on being here. And when I started to say, okay, fine, I'm going to come back into my body, I'm going to be here on this planet, and I'm going to choose to live a better life, then the feminine was like, okay, then it's time. Let me teach you how to live, so then she came in. But yeah, and that's usually shocking for people, because if you met me, I operated in, I mean, you can still see the drive. Like if I put my mind to something, nothing can stop me, even up till now. You can still see that, but a lot more people saw the feminine side, and I never understood that. But it makes sense, because the feminine wasn't, what word am I, like stumbled on or like shut down. She was almost like waiting. She was waiting for the safe time, or the divine time, I should say, for her to step up again. Because the moment I said, I'm going to drop into my body, like no longer am I going to let my spirit hang around here while my body's here. I'm going to drop into my body. She's like, okay, it's time. Right. And it makes a lot of sense with the feminine energies about earth, our body's embodiment, love in this physical reality, right? Like everything that is about us, like she really brings in that deeper wisdom around that. So yeah, it always it surprises people when I say that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And yeah, I won't talk too much about my journey, because I talked about it a lot in the talk with Jamie, but
Yeah,
briefly is that I felt the same, when I think when I thought of myself, I think of myself as very independent, very driven, very powerful in a certain, a leader. I've always
yes,
like in college, I was student body president, like that kind of stuff, so and I go, like I get work done, that kind of a thing. But when I really dropped into myself, what I realized was that actually it's been my feminine who's been leading and my masculine's been waiting. But what I realized is that my feminine is this incredibly powerful feminine, right? So I mistook her for masculine. She's very, very feminine, just a very, very powerful feminine.
Yeah.
And I have, again, my Venus in Aries, which is ruled by
Yes.
Mars. So
it makes sense.
Totally.
Totally.
Yeah, it totally makes sense but I had to really go deep into me to find the reality that was there. I could never have figured that out with my mind. Yeah. So I'm curious, in your work with clients, or in what's important to you about, I don't know what word you would put to it, but essentially finding this dance again, or, helping people do this kind of healing. Like, just tell me about, how do you do it? What's important to you about it?
Well, the first thing, just thinking about my work with my clients, is removing burnout. Like this society has taught us to be more in the masculine, and just going until we don't have any more fire. Like we completely deplete that fire. And then it's like, oh, you still need to keep going. Otherwise you're going to fail. It's so much pressure, and it makes you physically sick. It creates like blockages in all the areas of your life, right? The second part that was coming through, let's see here. There's the second one that was coming through. It's the feeling of like something is off, something is missing. Like even, I work with, highly impact influential women who are out there doing big things. And at some point of their success, it's like still something's off. Maybe their business is flourishing, but their relationship is going down, their friendships is going down. Like at some point, they're like, something's still missing. What is that missing element, right? And when you look at it, you see, for example, it might be the divine masculine who's been in charge and just going with the fire. That's what she is, she's been comfortable with, or she's known and she's comfortable with. I think I said that right, comfortable with. It's so it's so true. It's about, what are you comfortable with? What have you been exposed to your entire life that you didn't even realize there was something more? But at some point on your journey, you realize that it can't keep going on. It's like, I've tried everything I used to. It's not the same. Something is not there. Something is missing. Something is off. And I need to figure it out before that next level shows itself. So usually women that will come to me, they're at that level where it's like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. I feel stuck. I'm, even though I'm very successful, something is missing, right? And it's bringing those two together within them and allowing them to understand who they are in those aspects and how each side, how the divine feminine, the divine masculine shows up. For example, like you're talking about yours, your Venus in Aries, like that's a different, divine feminine compared to someone who has Venus in, give me an example. Yes, Pisces or Cancer, right? Totally different energy right there. But there's all still divine feminine. So really helping them to see those two. So that's why I present those two to them. And then it's like, just observe them. Who are you in your divine masculine? Who are you in your divine feminine? How do they each operate? Who's in charge? How do they feel towards each other? Do they hate each other? Can they not stand looking at each other? Like all of that, when you see the symbolism in your visualization or meditation, it says a lot about how your life is being created on the outside by that disharmony. So, I expose them to that. And then I have them talk with them. What do you need? What do we need to do so that we can come back together? What do we need? What am I not seeing? What do I need to let go? What do I need to heal? And that's where the deeper work comes in, because it might be a past life thing. It's like, oh, in this past life, we were very comfortable being in charge. We were actually in that divine masculine. It felt good. That was where we needed to be. And so we brought it here, right? But then all the woundings that come with it also comes with it here. Or, it might be just in this lifetime, how they were raised, or like mine, the divine masculine being my protector and my fire, my guide leading me, until it was safe for the feminine to come out. So this is where all the stories begin to come in, and, you being the observer and listening and paying attention to what needs to be done, and then implementing those one at a time, because it's not going to be like, boom, everything all at once. It's a process. This is about your life. This is about your journey. It's a process. So you take it one step at a time, and then more will reveal itself. Yeah. Hopefully, I answered the question. I feel like there was so much pouring through.
No, definitely. It was great. And I know in my own journey with that kind of coming into that dance again between mine, it felt like I wasn't only transmuting my experiences in this lifetime. Of course, it was like from, eons of lifetimes from the beginning of time, and then all the collective relationship of the divine feminine, divine masculine. And I just happened to be one manifestation of it. Yes. Of course. Right. Yeah. So it's so much. And I feel like it's such a powerful opportunity that we have to do that healing inside of ourselves. And then when we do that healing, it has such reverberations, not only to our own lives, but then, of course, to the world.
Everyone else. Yeah.
And I'm just curious, either in your own life or what you've seen with clients or anything you feel like sharing, what have you experienced as being the effects of coming into that healing and doing that inner work?
Well, the first thing that pops in is like the elimination of competition. It's just recognizing, like you get to a point where like, this is who I am, and this is what I'm really good at. And this is who you are, and this is what you're really good at. And we can come together and we can be our own and still be successful. And, I'm using this example with women because I work more with women, in sisterhood, right? it's like, okay, even if you meet someone who does the same thing that you do, like on paper, because we know that this is never the same. Like my flavor is going to be completely different, right? But even if that, like, we can still work together, we can still collaborate, we can still do things together. And our right, clients or people will always find us regardless. But that harmony needs to happen within you, right? The competition comes in when the divine masculine is the one in charge. It's the fire, the leader. It's like, I am in charge, right? Without the divine feminine waters, like balancing that fire. And so you step in, and then if you're working with another woman who, it's the same thing. It's like button heads. Like, I'm a leader. No, I'm a leader. You're not a leader, right? It's like button heads. So really finding those balance within yourself. People, it's like, what word am I looking for? It shows example. People need to see how that is like. It's not just about, meditation and, me talking about it. It's actually seeing someone who you feel like they're balanced in both and how they operate. That's what's going to shift. Mm-hmm. So when I do the work and I feel balanced, people are watching me, how I talk, how I walk, how I do things. That is what will inspire them to find that balance, or it will inspire them to go, how can I get there?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Even just
so
the way they feel with your resonance.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Because we can talk to kingdom come. We can share all the meditation we want, but if you're not ready to embody it, that's where it stops. Right. Yeah.
The biggest shift for me when I did that work was it literally changed my life. I mean, completely changed my life to have my inner feminine and masculine come back together and like click, but and then do kind of like healing work together.
My little one is sneaking in. Hold on.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Go to daddy. Go to daddy. I'm almost done. Okay. Can you go to daddy and play? What do you mean by no? Daddy's right there.
Oh, good with me. I'm a mom. I get it.
Sometimes he likes to take over. So oh yeah, sometimes he starts to talk and it's like almost like, mommy, step out of the way. It's my time.
Yeah. Well, maybe he's showing up for a reason. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He has a way of choosing certain times to show up. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. But yes, you were sharing about yours. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I got distracted by the cuteness. The big, I would say the humongous, gigantic shift in me personally was suddenly feeling complete and whole in myself, and noticing that I was not looking outside of myself nearly as much, I mean, for completing something, whatever the something is.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
that's
again,
huge.
regardless of sexual orientation, regardless of gender identity, just that we are complete in ourselves, and we need, to relate to others, of course. Like we are social, we are constructed as social beings. We are innately in relationship to everything outside of ourselves. But that wholeness inside me was just, I can't even explain, the change in me.
Yeah, there's nothing like knowing that everything that you need is not outside of you, it's within you.
Yeah.
Like not just knowing it in here, but really feeling it. Like, I got this. I got this, especially when things get tough, and you're like, I got this one day at a time. Let's just do this. Let's go. Right. It makes such a huge difference. And what you were saying also reminded me about the importance of, like when we're socializing and, how we connect with people. So if I step forward and my divine feminine side is more activated, it's like, think of magnets, right? Who to bring in the balance, the person that I bring in will have to be fiery or more activated in the divine masculine to create that balance, right? So if you're stepping in as one or the other, then it's like that. Then someone else in the environment has to come help you create that balance until you figure out that both balance need to happen within yourself, so you can meet someone who's also balanced within themselves too. So it's interesting when you see people interact and which one. You can hear my little one, huh, running around.
It's all
He's like, fine, if I can't be here, I'm gonna run around.
Yeah, again,
so it's so interesting to watch people and how they interact with others, which side is stepping up to meet the other, right? If you're balanced and you meet someone who's not, it's almost like an invitation for them to explore that. So it kind of activates that within them, right? And of course, they have the choice to say yes or no. There's nothing you can do about it. It's simply an invitation for them, right? And those who haven't figured it out yet, and I see this especially in like trying to find your partner, right? It's like, if you are more divine masculine energy, your partner is going to be more divine feminine energy. Until both of you are balanced, it's always going to be like that. And it doesn't matter if you're man or woman, because we know it switches around. It does whatever it wants, right? And even, now, like with my husband and I, that's how I know when I'm out of balance. It's like, when I step into fully one of them than the other and ignoring the other one, he will step into fully the other version, and it won't be a smooth like connection in a way. Like I would notice a difference, like, oh yeah, you need to like bring some water into the fire, balance it out, right? The moment I rebalance, he shows the same thing, right? So it's a beautiful, that dance it's reflective. The harmony within you will be reflected on the outside, and that is so important.
Yeah. And also similarly, one thing I noticed in myself that kind of shocked me was when I again went deep in me, something that my mind could never have accessed, deep inside myself. And I did have my feminine masculine come together. In my case, my masculine is incredibly in love with my feminine, right? And just has been waiting for eons for her to come back from her joyride of like being the powerful feminine in every manifestation. And so when I went deep into what it feels like to be him so in love with her, it drastically shifted again in me the sense of looking outside of myself for people to mirror to me my beauty or my power or my goodness, whatever it is that I wanted to feel seen in some way, right? And I got it so clearly that when I felt his adoration of her, I got it so clearly that if someone doesn't see that in me, it has literally nothing to do with me, which we know this intellectually, like we hear these words all the time, but I had never felt it so deeply that, his love and admiration and all that is infinite, literally cannot ever go away, just exists. And he loves her literally completely because he is her, he is me, and so there's nothing to have that mirrored inside myself gave me a template for what that feels like on the outside. And the reality that we can't ever probably feel that 1,000 million % infinite thing with another human, because even if you're the most in sync two humans, there's going to be moments when you're not identical, you're not the same person. So but I think we want that from another human, and to get that inside of ourselves and then be able to relate to a human as another human, as opposed to trying to, be our twin or something. I don't know what.
And I love that you said, because that brought up the whole misconception when it comes to twin flames. And my husband and I actually twin souls in sacred union, but there's that misconception like, oh, you're my twin flame, therefore, we're supposed to be alike. And it's like, but yes, you're both human and you had very different upbringings for reasons. So you can have the different experiences and come together and kind of join with that knowledge. But there's no, like at some point after you have been in sacred union for a while, it will sync where you're like, it feels like you think the same way, you talk the same way, and this happens with any couple who have been in sacred union for a long time. After a while that they've worked on all that karmic BS and all the stuff that steps in the way, they get to a point where they can sync and it feels so harmonious, right? So it doesn't matter like if it's twin flame or soulmate, like let's put those aside, right? Those unions, the main part of it where it happens is within yourself. The first thing a twin flame will teach you is look at yourself. Are you balanced within yourself? Is what you're asking from me what you give into yourself? Twin flames will challenge you like no other so that you can find the balance within them, within you, and then, which is kind of like them, but within you. And that way it's like you're radiating that truth of harmony. So your partner is not trying to become the other half of you. They're not. I always tell my clients, I'm like, it's 100-100, not 50-50. Nice. Actually, maybe even 130 or 150 and 150, but it's whole and wholeness and wholeness coming together for even a bigger harmonious wholeness. So we need to really step away from that. And the true sacred union is within. It's us being one with ourselves. Sacred feminine coming in with the sacred, masculine, and having that dance and falling in love with themselves. Like when you get that, the world will reflect that. Your partner will flow in beautifully and it will reflect that same harmony. Like that's where we need to put our attention, which is why we're doing this, symposium and talking about this. Yeah.
You just summed it all up. That was it. That was great. Yes, that was so beautiful. I love the way you said that.
Thank you.
It's like, and now what? That's it.
I love it.
Yeah, really. That was like the final nail, I feel like. But is there any other thing you're feeling called to say before we wrap up?
This is for the divine, from the divine feminine. I'm gonna say to all women especially, because there's, we talked about this at the beginning where there's the notion of, oh, the divine feminine is waking up and rising, as if like she's gonna stand up and step on the, the masculine, or, like knock him away. But it's not that. Like she is rising back up to her throne to sit next to the divine masculine so they can actually co-create together. And it is a part of our journey that we're not familiar with. Because in the past it's been either or, right? It's either masculine in charge or feminine, and it's been just flip-flopping all around. And this is the first time that invitation is really stepping up. And we're going to be in this energy, figuring this out within ourselves first, and then we'll begin to see it in our world. But this is the path I want. It's like, what is that dance? How can they co-create together? What would the world be like if it doesn't matter if you're a man or woman, you're paid the same. You can admire each other's strengths, right? And support, wherever there's a weakness, like bring your strength to support that, like that synergistic relationship. What would that be like? And it's easy saying it, I can see it, but we're on the journey and we're gonna still feel that, until it's like eventually just kind of, and then it sinks and I'm like, oh, gotcha. So, especially if you're a feminist, this is going to be challenging. It will, right? Because you realize that, oh, it's about balance, but how do I do it? How do I, when the masculine energy has caused so much pain and so much wrongness in the world, how do I do it? Just remember it's a journey. I want you to begin to, it's an invitation right now. What would it be like to see a world where we're all balanced? And there's also imbalance in the feminine, just like there's imbalance in the masculine, just like the feminine is healing, the masculine is healing too. Absolutely. They have their own wounds, and we need to acknowledge both, because both need to heal in order to come into that same synchronization, the harmonization, right? So we need to honor those. We need to honor both, just like you're doing that within yourself. If you have a partner, look at them. What wounds, how do those wounds trigger yours? We're always playing with each other that way so that we can see deeper and we can go deeper and do the deeper healing, right? So right now it's an invitation. Be gentle with yourself. Pay attention to what is coming up for you to heal, to activate, what wants to come up to play, right? Because maybe your divine feminine has been hiding for a long time or doesn't feel safe. And all of a sudden she's like, oh, I want to peek out. I want to see what would that be like? Pay attention to that and honor her, right? How does she want to be expressed? Not all divine feminine act the same way. So don't look at someone and be like, oh, I need to dress like that, look like that so that I can be it. No, you are your own divine feminine. And however you choose to show up, that's your divine feminine. You need to show up in your own unique way so that someone can also see that, oh, look at yours. That's cool. Now I can show all of mine. Oh, this is my divine feminine. Oh, you didn't know that my divine feminine wants to wear suits, like look and put a tie and everything. Well, that's her. She's a badass, right? Or my divine feminine wants to be a mermaid. Great. Just be you. Right? And unique, a mermaid with a suit. Let's say, you never know, right? But allow the uniqueness to come through, because that is what we need. We don't all look alike. We're not interested in all looking alike. We're not interested in all of us dressing up like goddesses with the stickers. No, because at the end of the day, when you feel into it, is that really you? Is that purple makeup? Is that really you? Or perhaps you wanted red. Or perhaps you wanted like black. It's okay. That's your signature. Play with that. But the first step, if you're asking, how the heck do I do this? Go into meditation. Is that okay if I walk them through something right now?
Yeah.
Perfect.
If you have time for that, that's great for me.
So just close your eyes, taking a deep breath in, and place your hand on your heart. You can actually do both hands on your heart. And begin to breathe into your heart and breathe into your body. I'm just going to call in the divine beings of the highest light to come in and create a beautiful sacred space for you. I'm going to call in your higher self to step into your heart and to lead this. Beautiful. So bring your awareness to your heart. So, imagine this ball of light from your mind floating down and dropping into your heart. And my visualizations, I always see it as my heart is like a flower and the ball just drops into the center of the flower. And then the flower just kind of closes around it, kind of holding it. And just breathe into the space. And when the two come together, you notice they open up or they transform or it changes into this garden. So now you're standing in your heart garden, this beautiful, luscious, vibrant, fertile land that is just for you. If you've never been in your heart garden before, welcome. is only for you. Explore it. Are there trees? What kind of wildlife? What color is the water? So the lakes? Is there an ocean? Are there mountains? What is your heart garden like? Do you have a cottage? Do you have a castle there for you? What is your heart garden like? And your higher self is right there with you. So if you have any questions, you can ask him or her. And find somewhere you can sit in the garden. And from this place, let's call in your divine masculine energy or form to show up. And I want you to just take it in. How does it look like? Feel like? How did this aspect of yourself show up as? Just observe and breathe at it. Also pay attention to where in your body you feel this aspect of yourself. Beautiful. So next, let's call in the divine feminine aspect of yourself to also show up in front of you. And observe it. Observe this energy, this form, this being. Take it in, breathe it in. How does this aspect of yourself feel like? And where in your body do you feel it? Observe how they are interacting with each other. Just take notice. And breathe. And just thank them for showing up. And ask them to stay in your heart garden. Ask them to just be there with your higher self. And let them know that you will visit them more so you can talk to them, co-create with them, learn more about them. And I'm seeing like this smiling, they're like, thank goodness. Yes. Whatever it is you want to tell them at this time, go ahead and do that. Beautiful. And again, just thank them for showing up in your heart space, showing up for you. And when you're ready, taking a deep breath in, and with your exhale, pull your energy back into your present body. Be here now, pulling all of that experience into the here and now. And you can open your eyes. So what I did with this is, it's like I brought them into the same room. So just in case they were one was like outside the house, the other one was like inside the house. Like we brought them in the same room, and this simple exercise will initiate so much more. It's a great place to start. If you're like, where do I begin? The rest, they'll guide you. Let's put it that way. And it's a gentle process. You're not forcing anything, right? The moment they see each other, they know what needs to be done, right? You've just given them a safe space to do that. Yeah.
Mm. So beautiful. Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So, you do this kind of work among other things with people, right? What would you like to share about what you offer, how people can connect with you?
Yes. So if you would like to dive in deeper into finding, harmonizing with both sides, if you like really coming into balance, I have one-on-one mentorship that we can do. It's like 3 months. And then we kind of evaluate from then on to see what you need. But the 3 months is like the foundation. We really get things into place, solidified, grounded, and then we'll see where your own soul path wants to take you. So one-on-one is really good with this because I can really focus on you and we can dive in deep to where you want to go. I also do group programs, but right now the one that I'm focusing on is my Goddess Unleashed program. It opens once a year. It's a whole year journey for people who are really serious in merging those two, and also merging heaven and earth. So it's really going, it's bigger. It's about merging your spirituality and your physicality, embodying everything. So it's like bringing the two together. And I'm also a publisher. So through that, I give that space, a container for those who are ready to speak and share their stories, to do that in a simple way by being part of my multi-author books.
What time of the year does that year-long program open?
Yes, so actually I open it up probably, around like October, November, and then I close it in March, because after that, we do so much that it will be hard to like catch up, and then you always feel like, so I give it like the first couple of months because we're still, figuring out our footing in the new year. Like, what is this new year trying to, bless me with? What is my path? And so by March, it's like most people are in sync with that, what the year is going to bring them. And they feel more like, oh yeah, I'm in the new year now. So that's when I would close the container. But so usually around October, November, and then up until March.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Go get daddy.
Almost done. And your website and everything will all be with this video. But is your website the best way for people to reach you?
Yes. So my website is moongoddessacademy.com. You can go there and find all of my social media handles and like everything in one place. It makes life so much easier. If you're on Facebook or Instagram, again, you can find me on Facebook with my name, Abigail Mensah Bunsu. If you're on Instagram, you can find me through Intuitive Goddess Coach. And you can find me either way. Yeah.
Perfect. And you have a free gift on your website, which people can also find.
Exactly. Yes, I have a meditation that I feel like is very needed in this time that we're in. I call it the eye of the storm, is finding your fortitude, your center, where it doesn't matter what is whipping around you, you are secure, you're safe. It's like being that strong tree, deeply rooted and connected. And it's like, doesn't matter what hurricane winds it comes in, like you are good. So that meditation gets you to that place so that you're not being pimp slapped everywhere and floating everywhere. It's like, no, I see that tornado right there, but I'm solid. I'm good. It can't uproot me. Like, I'm good. Yeah. So you find that meditation there. Yeah.
Beautiful. Any last thing you feel like you want to say?
I think that's it.
Okay, thank you so much. So good. Thank you for the work you're doing in the world.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing us together. This is incredible.
Well, I really appreciate it. Yeah. And I would just to the people watching, I would love to, I keep saying this on videos, but it's true. I would love to hear people's journeys. I would love to hear, what are your own experiences like with the meditation that Abigail just led us through, or with finding your own feminine, your own masculine, your own non-binary self, your own whatever it is. I really, really appreciate hearing people's journeys, and it helps me learn, genuinely. So please don't hesitate to share. Please do share. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Abigail.
Thank you.